future for the 4 Ps: people, planet, purpose, and profit. I'm Swanette, and I'm your host. Welcome to my podcast, Holistic Creators. My name is Swanette from spiritualchangemaker.com, and I'm the host for today. My guest today is Cseeszka Borjigin. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you are here for our guest, being our guest and for our audience today, because you really have an impressive story. You told me that you are the nomadic medic, but you have had another life before. So can you tell us a little bit what happened until 2015? Because this was the kind of breaking point through another life. But what have you done before?
So before 2015 happened, I was a very high-end artist. Not a starving artist. I worked in multi-million-dollar homes. I was getting more work than I could handle, so I was passing a lot of their jobs off. And basically, I was living the artist's dream, you know?
Yeah. What kind of art did you produce?
Okay, so basically, I'm trained in many forms of art, so whatever the client needed. So we're talking... Yeah, I could do regular paintings on canvas, and I also did very large-scale murals, fresco. You know this word? Yeah, fresco. Okay. Very high-end faux finishing. Okay, this is, we're not talking about sponging and rag rolling. This is much more advanced. And I make my own paints, my own stains. I did special finishes on cabinets, on furniture, walls, ceilings, floors. If someone, one example would be trompe-l'oeil. So this is a fancy French word that means to fool the eye. And so basically if someone say, well, I would like this wall to look like marble, but they cannot afford a marble wall. I can paint to make it look this way. Or they want cabinets that have expensive wood, but really they can only afford pine. I can make it look like mahogany.
Wow, wow. So you really had a huge variety of different methods used and creating this kind of art. So
yeah, I am also a body painter. This means painting on the person's body and transforming them into whatever creature or thing they want to become. And a lot of times we use it for therapy because people have body image. You know, they don't like the way they look, or they've had some trauma happen to them and they don't know how to speak it to others. And we can paint it. And they can get that out of them. And then when they see the work in the mirror, when we're finished, you know, there's a lot of emotional release for them. No. And we have a professional photographer, and it's really quite the experience for them.
Wow, very interesting. Wow, never heard of that, but wow, yeah. And so you had a busy life, a lot to do. And so what happened then in 2015? For me, it sounds like this was really your awakening to another dimension, to another world. What happened then?
Yeah, it really was. So as we're getting closer to 2015, I started losing energy, but it would come and go. So I didn't really pay attention. And I would see like I was gaining weight, but then it would go. You know, the weight would go away just as quickly as it would come. You know, it was like different little weird symptoms that I was feeling. Unexplainable things, but it wasn't constant. And so you know, I had a very busy life. I was doing a lot of shows. I had a lot of commissions to do. And I was very much into hiking and exploring and big road trips and my photography. So all of this really was at the forefront, and I'm not really paying attention to these red flags that my body was giving me. And then it reached a point where I could not ignore it anymore, but I was still forcing myself through each day, you know, like, but I got this deadline, you know, and I'm not someone to miss a deadline. I mean, it's better death before missing a deadline, you know?
Yeah.
Very.
and you really came close to that.
Yeah. And so I just kept pushing until my body could not be pushed any further. And one day I was, you know, out there mountain climbing, doing art gigs, living the life. And the next moment I had collapsed. I was thankfully my son was with me, my oldest son. We decided to go take a walk by a river that's not too far from us. I got out of the car and I walked, but I was really struggling. And then when we reached the river, we were about 1.5 miles away from the car. My body, without any warning, boom, I just collapsed right on the ground. And my son had to rush me to the hospital because I started hemorrhaging. And we didn't know what to think. And by the time we had gotten to the hospital, I was phasing in and out of, you know, being conscious and unconscious. I don't remember too much what happened in the emergency room. I know nurses were frantically trying to stop the bleeding. They were trying to figure out where the bleeding was coming from, what was the cause. It was, you know, quite chaotic. I remember at one point lying on an operating table, and I could feel my spirit leaving my body. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I was at perfect peace. But I was watching all this confusion and fear and struggle of the nurses trying to save my life. I knew that my son was walking and pacing outside of this room. I could see everything that was happening, but I was at peace. I have to say there was no anxiety in me.
What do you mean you could see all that?
It was sort of like, I really can't say, I don't want to say I had a definite out-of-body experience, but I definitely could feel that my spirit was leaving my body, like me was leaving. And like I was just hovering over this scene of all these nurses trying to save me. And I don't know, the next thing I woke up and there was the doctor, a specialist, and a surgeon. And I could tell by the look on their face that, you know, it was not good. I wasn't exactly prepared. I thought they were going to say something like cancer, you know, which I wasn't prepared for this either. But I thought that would be the worst. But when they started fumbling over their words and the look on their face, the fear really began to, my heart, you know, started to race. But the final word from all three was, we're really sorry to tell you, we can't save you. There's nothing to be done. The surgeon did offer to do the surgery, but that would only solve one issue, and she said I only had a 50-50 chance of surviving on the operating table. So that didn't sound like much of an option to me. They said, you have 3 months, maybe less. And that was really quite shocking. I had, you know, this active life. It was a good life. And now I have 3 months. You know, how do you schedule death into your social calendar when you only have 3 months. So much that I needed to still do. So much I still had to say in this life. So I was really numb. You know, you're hearing these words, you're hearing this death sentence, and your body goes numb. Your mind is telling you, wake up, wake up. It's just a dream. But somehow you know it's not. And my son helped me out to, you know, we left. I turned down their help because their help was really not. And that was not how I was going to spend the last of my days. When I got out to the parking lot, something just came over me. A huge wave of emotion. And I just collapsed right in the parking lot.
What kind of emotion came up? What was it?
Like you're drowning on dry land. Waves of just fear, confusion. What do I do now? You know, how do I die? Like the question was, how do I die in 3 months? Like, what am I supposed to do? What's expected of me? How am I going to get through this? Where do I find answers? And it was just like I was being hit by these waves relentlessly, you know, just drowning. I literally felt like I was drowning on dry land in that parking lot. My body just came crashing down from the emotion, from the overwhelm, from the realization that this is real, this is me, that, you know, they were talking to. It's happening to me, not somebody else, not a dream, not a nightmare that I can wake up from. And also very weak from the loss of blood. My body collapsed. My son came, you know, he got down in the middle of this parking lot with me. I'm sure we looked like crazy people. And I cried out to God at that moment. And I said to him, if you will teach me how not to die, I promise I will teach others the same. And I didn't know it at that moment, but that was the moment that the Nomadic Medic was born. That was the birthing. And God allowed me to experience the full extent of what it's like to be sent home with a death sentence, not a year, 3 months or less, no answers, nowhere to turn, nothing. And when you experience this, you have to walk through it day by day. It changes who you are. Something happens in the mind and in the spirit. And I considered it, you know, in the beginning, of course, there was, why me? You know, I'm not going to lie. There was a lot of whining going on. But I think that it was when I got more than halfway through this ordeal, I started seeing it more as a gift. A gift of God's love for humanity that he was going to give through me to those who he was going to bring across my path, so that I could truly understand what my patients were feeling, what they were thinking. They didn't have to say a whole lot because I've been through it. I've been there, and I could give that support on a deeper level to them, to these people who are sent. You know, I'm not going to be able to help everyone in the world, but those who come across my path, I can really truly identify and understand. They don't have to do a lot of talking. They don't have to be ashamed or make excuses or try to buck up and be brave when they are with me. Because I know.
Yeah, why do you think that especially you got this kind of gift to give it to others?
Yeah, there was a moment in time when it started to dawn on me that this was a gift. There was still that part of me that was like, I don't want this. I'm an artist. That's all I've ever been. That's all I've ever wanted to be. This is what I know is art. And it's how I identified myself. And you know, the truth of the matter is, if God had come to me and said, no, Cseeszka, put away those brushes, never mind this art, come and be a natural medicine practitioner for me. We all know how that argument would have gone, okay? It would not, I mean, no. I'd have been trying to bargain my way out of it, you know, crying, whining, everything. No, not for me. But by allowing me to go through this, it burned that passion naturally into me. No one had to say to me, why don't you think about it? Or coax me into it. Because what I went through had left such a deep impression on me. There was that passion was birthed in me because of my own experience, you know? And I think that when you are called and you truly know that you're being called to something, I think that sets you a little bit higher above the others in your profession, because there's something supernatural inside of you, something unique that you personally can give, you know, that God knows that those that come across your path are going to need to tap into. And if you don't have it, there's nothing there for them to tap in, then I'm not saying you can't help them, of course you can. But if there's that little extra something, it's better for them. And it gives them a feeling of feeling secure, safe, and most important, understood. You know, because so many times when someone goes to the doctor, if they can't find the reason, the root cause, because they're not even looking for root causes, they'll just tell you, oh, you are depressed. So now you're not validating this person's, what their experience is. They're looking, half of them, half of what they're looking for is, of course, the cure. But before this, they're looking to be validated. They don't want to be told they're crazy or that it's in their head or you're imagining or buck up. They want someone to understand. They want someone to hear them. And if I had not gone through what I gone through, I would not have that an ear to hear. You understand? So I think, yeah, the path that he puts me on, I was called to. I've been given a unique understanding, and yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the experiences you had? So telling you you have only 3 months to live, and now it is 4.5 years or 5 years in the past. You're still alive, as we can see, and so you're looking beautiful. So what happened? What have you experienced for yourself that was so special that you survived?
Yeah, you know, when I went home, and, you know, after crying out in the parking lot, you know, I didn't hear any voices or lightning or thunder. There was nothing like this. But when I got home later that day, and we were preparing, I had to sleep on the couch so I could be in the center of the house, so that this way anyone who would be passing by me, you know, family members, I could say, could you get me this or get me that? Because I couldn't stand up. I couldn't go get a drink of water. I couldn't go to the bathroom or take a shower. I had to be carried. And it was quite the ordeal. And we had to lay out heavy sheets of plastic for me to sleep on, because I was losing blood every day. I was losing so many times. I was being rushed to the emergency room, being hooked up to IVs. I was losing body fluids. I was losing my blood. I had become so anemic. It was really quite horrible. But I remembered, but that particular evening, I started telling God, I don't know where to look for answers. I don't even know what the cause is. I was diagnosed with 5 different life-threatening diseases. And on top of this, I was losing all my blood, and all my organs in my, every single organ in my body was only operating at less than 50%. So systemically, my organs were all shutting down, and they couldn't tell me why. And so my body is, you know, when the liver and the kidneys aren't working, you start, your body begins to poison itself. You're self-poisoning. And okay, so that brings on its whole symptoms of feeling nauseous, sick, you can't eat, you can't, the walls are spinning, brain fog, like heavy brain fog, you can't think proper, your emotions are all over the place because your endocrine system's being messed with. So it was really an ordeal. But I remember saying, God, I don't know where do I begin and how do I begin? I can't even think clearly, you know? There was days where all I could do was lay on my back and stare at the ceiling because my brain would not function or think proper. And through all of this, you know, I started to do some research, and I feel like God was divinely leading me to the right places. And little by little, through those 2.5 years of being completely bedridden, he just led me to the right people, to the right places to get the answers, to take the right classes, to study, to heal my own body. I would like to say that, you know, God gave me a miracle and he touched my body and I got this miraculous healing, but that's not what happened. He made me to walk through it all, find, you know, God created in nature everything that is good for the body. If we need, you know, let's just take something simple, okay? You have a head cold, you're very stuffy. God made the eucalyptus and he made the fir, you know, all these types of evergreen trees that can open up the passageways. So there's everything in nature, natural medicine that God has created that we have to learn how to use, you know, to heal the body, to give the body medicine that works with it, not against it. If you need, you know what I'm saying? And so yeah, it was very painstaking. And many times I said, can't you just heal me? This is hard. No, you have to walk through it so that when I put these other people in your path, you can do the same for them.
Can you give me some examples? What were the treatments you found for yourself?
Yes. Okay, so one of the cause that I was losing all this blood was that when they were finally able to soak up the blood and examine me inside, they found these growths that were so huge that, and they had grown into the wall of the uterus and the cervix, but they were growing so aggressively and they were so big that they had developed their own vascular system. And so the surgeon said, we have never seen anything like this. And if we cut into this vascular system that these growths have created, we're not 100% certain that you're not going to just bleed out on the operating table.
Not a good prognosis.
Yeah. So in natural medicine, rather than going for the surgery, and by the way, that surgery would have cost me $11,000. And they said to me, but don't worry, because they saw the expression on my face. And they said, don't worry, we have payment plan. I was like, great, the payment plan. Pay half now, the rest in 30 days. No problem. So aside from, you know, that absurd fee, and then could not guarantee that I would survive the surgery or that it wouldn't come back. You know, because we weren't dealing with the root cause, so it could come back. So I had to search and find what was the root cause. The root cause, my estrogen levels went too high. The cure or how to solve this without doing surgery, there are herbs and essential oils that you mix together. Okay, do not, whoever's listening to this, do not think they're just taking essential oil. is going to work. It has to be merged with certain herbs and things that we call drivers to drive this concoction into the growths to cause them to shrink. And at the same time, I had to take natural herbs to reduce, to lower the estrogen. Because if we don't deal with the root cause, we could shrink the growths, but they would come back because we didn't deal with the root cause. And so these are the way that I practice medicine. We look at the problem, but we want to see what is driving it.
Yeah, so it is not only about curing the symptoms or helping to reduce the symptoms, but to really understand what is the source of the problem or the root that this happened, and going there and changing this. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, it was, then I had to find someone who was skilled, that knew how to do this, because almost no one knows how to do it. I did find a naturopath who actually was recommended to me by my chiropractor. And I didn't call them for months because I did not think they knew how to help me. And then things got so desperate. I was so tired of being rushed to the hospital, getting hooked up to IVs, losing my blood, not knowing anything. And so finally I called them, and it was so funny. I had absolutely no belief in my heart that they could help me. And when they answered the phone, I said to them, "Hi, my name is Che, and this is my situation. I'm only calling just in case, but I really already know you can't help me." You know, in my mind, I had determined they could not help me. And the receptionist was, "Of course we can help you. We help people with this all the time." I was like, "You do?" I said, "I'll be right there." And but you know, when I went in and they examined me, the ND, I could tell by the expression on her face, she had never seen it growth this big, growing as quickly as they were. I mean, it was super aggressive. And she said to me, "Okay," like she had her hands up like this. You could tell her heart was pounding. And she said, "Okay, I'm not going to turn you away. But if your body does not respond within 10 treatments, you are going to have to try and get the surgery, because I have never dealt with this on this level." So I said, "Okay." My body responded by the 4th treatment. And she was shocked. And I was doing a happy dance because I did not want to go for the surgery. So that was the very beginning. So getting those estrogen levels normalized, shrinking, and at the same time shrinking these growths, going for sonograms to see inside to make sure that they were truly going away. Because they can shrink down to the size of maybe 1 centimeter or 0.5 centimeter, you know, or even smaller where your eye can't tell. And this is why we want to do the internal examination to make sure. So yeah, it was working. And then there was a lot of, I had Hashimoto's. Aside from the growths, I had Hashimoto's. I had to deal with this. And I learned how to do this on my own. I had hypothyroidism, type 2 diabetes, the growths, and all my organs shutting down and them not knowing why. So through my studying and research, I found the root cause for each of these things and turned it around. So I'm still on my healing journey. I've been I'm no longer bedridden for the past 2.5 years. I've been out of the bed, getting stronger, and gotten rid of no more Hashimoto's, no more type 2 diabetes, no more growths. My organs are functioning at 75% now, And so the last thing I'm working on here, the last main thing, is my thyroid. I had actually healed it twice, but I had a doctor who would not cooperate. And she said, I'm sorry, once you have a thyroid condition, there is no cure. And so she wasn't willing to lower my dose. Now, she saw that I was healing my thyroid. She saw in the lab work, but she would not lower the dose, and she kept screwing things up. So twice I healed it, twice she screwed it up. Fired her a few months ago, and I just found an ND that has the authority to write prescriptions and change doses. You know, the ND that helped me with the growth, she did not have the authority. That's another I think like 2 extra years of training that an ND has to go through to get that authority. So we had to find me one that has the ability to change my dose. So I just recently found one. And so for the 3rd time, I'm working to heal my thyroid. And I have someone who will lower the dose, because that other doctor, the last time that she worked with me, she actually raised my dose by quite a lot without consulting me. And if I hadn't noticed that something was different about the medication, if I had taken it, I would have been in the hospital with a heart attack. She could have killed me. And that's when I said to her, I have had enough. You are fired. I'm going to find me an ND that has the authority to do what I need and that will work with me. So that's where we're at on my healing journey right now.
Yeah, so I can see there have been a lot of obstacles already that you came over, and so you had the process on the one hand working on your body, also finding what causes all these problems in your body. But I think there's something else. You have such a strong mindset that you didn't say, okay, I give up, but I really want to go through, and this is my path, and I'm making this process. So
yeah. One of the things you will discover, you're going to learn a lot about yourself when you're in this situation. You're either going to go with what the doctor said and say, well, it came from a doctor. They know better than me. I guess I'm going to have to die. You know, to me, in my mind, that sounded very absurd. Or you're going to say, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to find answers. You know, if there's an answer out there, I'm going to find it. I would say that when you are in this situation, or any challenging, doesn't have to be health, it could be a financial or a loss of a loved one, whatever is a really challenging situation, I would say that the physical part is only 1/3 of the battle. The other 2/3 of the battle belongs to the mind. And why do I say this? Because the spirit and the body follows the mind. If the mind says I can't do it, then that becomes your truth. And you will suffer, you will reap those consequences. If you strengthen your mind, even in the sight of all the bad things that are happening, you know, when this is happening to you, all you can see are all the, you know, the bad. You know, if it's a physical thing, you can feel all the physical things in your body, all the strange feelings and emotions, unexplainable things that you can't put a finger on, but you can feel it, you know. This is all you can see. But you're going to have to come to a point where you're going to say, I see the reality of what's happening to me, but I'm going to believe in the unbelievable. I'm going to believe in the impossible. I'm going to fight. I'm going to find an answer to whatever your situation is. Because if you don't, you're going to lose the battle. You're going to succumb. So if, say, you're not in a life and death situation, but something traumatic has happened to you, all right, you may not die, but now you're going to succumb. Your body and your spirit is going to succumb to depression, anxiety because of your situation, or imminent death because you've been given a death sentence, you know? No matter what situation we find ourselves in, you have to determine in your mind to fight. You know, you have to fight. For me, I had to learn how to fight like I was already dead. Because dead men, they don't have anything to lose. And if you have nothing to lose, it kind of reduces your fear factor. Yeah? So you have to have the mindset of a dead man who's going to fight because you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. I had to make that decision every day. It was really hard. I had days where half my day was spent crying, feeling sorry for myself, and then fighting, you know, rising up and fighting. It wasn't like, it's not like, you know, okay, I'm going to fight, I'm going to do this, I'm going to win, whatever your situation is. Trust me, that battle to the summit, you're standing at the base of the mountain, the summit's way up here, you're way down here. It doesn't go like this. Or, you know, success never goes in a straight line. It's more like there's peaks and there's very deep valleys. For every win you get, there's always another obstacle that's facing you, that's challenging you, that's drawing a line in the sand, saying, daring you to cross over, you know? And we have to constantly feed our spirit and our minds to fight.
How is it possible to get this feeling of, okay, I can go through and yeah, of course, everybody has this kind of blocking beliefs, or I think I can't make it, or why me, whatever it is. So you somehow have to overcome this and come into more strength, and that you feel that you can win the fight. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Okay. So, you know, everyone's situation is going to be a little bit different, but it does boil down to a few basics. You have to train yourself to get rid of those disempowering beliefs, disempowering behaviors, because this is going to expire you rather than inspire you. Okay, so we know how to stop expiring ourselves. How do we inspire ourselves to stand daily and fight a battle that is like trying to remove a mountain, you know? You need to start to visualize your life until you can feel it, taste it, smell it, that you're there, you're experiencing it, and feeding your mind with the possibilities of this new life that you're trying to gain. And so a lot of visualization, meditation, feeding the spirit, feeding the mind. It's most important to feed the mind because, as I say, the spirit and body will follow. It will. We see this all the time. If you believe you can't, you won't. If you believe that you can and you constantly feed this, it's like there's two dogs that live inside of us, okay? Right? We know here's the one, the negative one, here's the one that wants to make it. Which one is going to win? That is determined by which one you feed. We all know this. There's no, when you're in a traumatic situation, there's no room or time for pity to feed this one. We have to spend all our energy, and it does take a lot of energy to feed this one that wants to fight, the one that wants to win, you know? So you have to, you know, think on those things that are going to inspire you, and do little tiny baby steps. I can't accomplish removing this entire mountain right now. You know, I can't reach that summit right now, but I can take one step. And whatever that one little tiny step for that day is, do it. And even if you have to crawl, forward is still forward. Yeah, no matter what the pace, forward is still forward. And so every day through the heavy brain fog, because you know, if your estrogen goes high, you're going to have brain fog, and with all the other things that were happening in my body, terrible brain fog. And it took a lot of energy. And there were times where I would lay on that couch and I was like, I'm too tired. I don't want to fight today. You know, you'll have moments like this, but so long as it's not every single day, forward is still forward. Take those little baby steps. Picture your life. What would your life be like tomorrow if you take this one little baby step today and really picture that? Because it'll feed you.
What I see is that people in such situations are very often in panic and fear, and for that, of course, the body chemistry is also like you have this adrenaline, etc. How is it possible then to come out of this fear and to start getting into another mood, to start realizing how this life could be and start visualizing a good life?
So there's the physical side and then there's the mental side, right? In the physical, I was doing the things that my body physically needed. So that, okay, so let's talk about the microbiome for 2 little moments. I won't go into too much detail, but the microbiome is that community of microbiota, the fungi and the bacteria that lives in our gut. They are directly related to your brain, okay? The gut is called the enteric system, yeah? This microbiome is called the enteric system, also known as your second brain. Now, you got a brain in the gut, but you have a brain here in your head. The two are connected through the vagus nerve, okay? That's how they communicate. That's like a telephone wire between the two. If you do not take care of the microbiota or the flora in the gut, and I'm using umbrella words here when I say bad guys and good guys, okay? The bad flora will become very populated and crowd out the good flora. The bad flora feeds on fear and stress and bad food and bad lifestyle choices and not observing circadian rhythm. Okay, so if we continue to make those bad life choices, then yeah, you're going to have a tougher battle in the mind, because they directly affect your mood. They have the ability to change your brain chemistry. Okay, but so at the same time that I was feeding my mind with good thoughts and visualization, I was also cleaning up my microbiome. And, you know, you leaky gut issues, okay, which is what, if you have like things like cancer, thyroid issues, Hashimoto's, all these different degenerative disease, it's a result of inflammation in the body. And how did that inflammation start? It started in the gut, which started ripping holes in our gut lining. This is called leaky gut. Bad things start seeping into the bloodstream, and this is where we get all these illnesses. Okay, so once we know what the root cause is, at the same time that we're feeding our mind, we also have to feed healthy things to the gut. Okay, so because they work hand in hand. So you can't ignore that. We have to do both at the same time. And that's what I was doing, and I got the results. Now, I have to tell you this. When I was able to stand up for the first time on my own, I could take a few steps. Eventually, I got to the point where I could get in a car, drive myself places, you know. And when I was able to do that, I ran right back to those doctors who said 3 months. I thought they would be overjoyed. Like, oh, look at this miracle. They were not, because I did not use them to do it. I did not use pharmaceuticals. And they actually wanted to report the person who healed me. And I said to her, she was an integrative medicine doctor. I said to her, well, I guess you're going to have to report me because I'm the one who did it. I researched, I studied, I took classes, you know, all kinds of medical classes, and I studied root causes and epigenetics, you know, all these things that are involved in our health. And she just, because I brought in lab work for her to see, because I had lab work done to show that I was better. And she took that paper and she threw it on the little counter in the office, and she just glared at me. And I was like, wow, I could not believe this response. Mm-hmm. Doctors are trained in one way, pharmaceuticals, and they have a difficult time to think outside of that box, and they don't want to hear it about it. I mean, not all. There are good doctors who do both, you know, and I believe in a pharmaceutical. If you're in a crisis situation, let's not, you know, you're in the middle of having a heart attack. That's not the time to call me and say, hey, what herb can get this heart attack? No, get to the emergency room. Take care of it. Get yourself out of crisis mode and then come and talk to me, and we'll deal with those root causes and wean you off your medication. There has to be balance.
Yeah, of course. There are situations when it is really acute, you have to go to a normal doctor or hospital. But if it is more chronic and goes more deep for a longer time, then you need to figure out what is really the root of the problem.
Yeah. So I'm grateful for, you know, sometimes you have to have a surgery. So I'm very grateful to that there are surgeons, you know, that know how to do these things. It just shouldn't be our first choice if it doesn't have to be. I mean, if your appendix is about to explode, naturally, okay? But if you're not in this kind of crisis, let's look at root causes first. Let's make that our first choice and see how your body responds, you know?
Yeah, this goes also into the direction of understanding how to prevent getting sick, before even coming into these situations that...
Yes. Exactly right. What, you know, my story is not unique, but my solution is. Lots of people have been given a death sentence, and many of them have fought and survived and found natural ways, you know, to cure what was happening to them. So I'm not unique by any stretch of the imagination, but my solution is. And the reason I say this is because what I was led to study and to understand is how the body works on a cellular level and how to run a special test, a very non-invasive test. It's got 7 parts to it. And we can look inside the body. With this test, I can look inside the person's body chemistry and see where their body chemistry is headed. I can see that a person is headed for cancer well before they ever reach it. I can see if they're headed for heart disease or a heart attack, if they're going to end up as a diabetic, you know, or if they're heading towards insulin resistance, you know, whatever it may be. I can see it years, sometimes years before they ever get there, and reverse it. So there's not another medical, whether it's natural medicine or pharmaceutical, no one else can make that claim, because this is a very unique test that we run, and it's based on mathematics. So it's not like it takes all the guesswork out. We don't have to guess. We can pinpoint, and we can say this person has X amount of energy. We can pinpoint where the weakest link in the body, where it is, and how to reverse engineer this before it goes into chronic. If you're already in a chronic stage, we know how to reverse it based on that person's personal body chemistry, okay? So we never use fad diets. We don't use keto, vegetarian, veganism. We don't use any of these things, because we can see exactly what the body chemistry, what that person's body chemistry says it needs. and that's what we give it. And we can monitor that every single day throughout the whole day. So we can say, okay, right now you need vitamin A. Right now your body's not absorbing, or you're lacking in this, we need to get this, or you need to stop eating this way. For today, we want you to add something else into your meal plan today. And by giving the body, moment by moment, what it says it needs at that moment, this is how we reverse what's happening in the body, and we're rebuilding their reserve energy. Okay, you have two forms of energy: available energy that you use to get to your daily things, but there also is reserve energy. So you can think of it like a bank account. If you are living an unhealthy lifestyle and eating processed foods and not going to sleep, you know, you don't have a routine. The body, it throws the body into confusion. And what happens over time is that you're now no longer do you have this daily energy. Now you're having to tap into your reserve energy to get through a day. Well, there's only so much reserve energy. So think about it as your bank account. If you keep withdrawing from the bank account and you don't ever put back because you're living above your means, you know, what's going to happen? You're going to go bankrupt. So you go bankrupt in your health because you spent up all your reserve energy. And so we teach you this. So when a person comes to me, before they even come to me, I say to them, yes, you will be my patient, but you will also be a student. And if you're not willing to be a student and be educated, there's only one of me. I need to make you self-sufficient. I could make a lot more money by making you dependent on me, but there's only one of me, and there's too many people out there who are dying before their time. I don't have time to be greedy. The goal is to put the position of physician back into the hands of the patient so that they can become their family physician, you know, to put this position of physician back into the hands of the grandmothers, the mothers, the daughters, as it was, you know, a little more than 100 years ago before modern medicine took over. They were the village physicians, you know, and it was working. You know, it was modern medicine that came in that tried to dazzle everybody with something new. And unfortunately, it worked. But before modern medicine, wasn't natural medicine working? Of course it was, you know.
But this is also the responsibility of your clients, that they really tap into that. And it's not like asking you, please make it better. And then, it is their own responsibility to change their life and their habits and their beliefs and their nutrition and everything.
Exactly right. And I tell them, if you're looking for a pill to chill, I'm not the person to come to. When you come to me, you're going to spend several hours with me, and we're going to get to know each other. Show up with a notebook, lots of paper and a pen, because come ready to learn. I'm going to teach you how to run this test. I'll show you where to get all the equipment, all the lab equipment. I'm going to teach you how to run this test so you can do it at home. And also, while you're learning and you're still new at this, you don't have to keep coming back to me. This is very, you know, it's time consuming for them. All they have to do is call in to me over the phone or email me with the equation. What does your body chemistry say now? And I can advise them what to do. And by doing this, they learn how to run, but the equations, the body chemistry, but they also start to get a feel of, okay, I don't need to call her today. I know what to do. Mm-hmm. I understand what I'm looking at in this lab work, and I know what to do. And eventually they become a ripple effect, you know, that they can now help their family, their friends, and some of them have decided to go take my course. It takes about a year to get through the full course, and they become, you know, consultants for others, and it gives them a nice business, a way to make money while doing good for others. You know, I'm all about making money, but we want to balance it. While you're making money, be doing good for others. You know, So this is what I do. And the other thing is I have a nonprofit. Now I'll be building my all-natural medicine hospital soon. It's a retreat center. But I've never turned away any patient on the basis of money. We can never chase after money when it comes to people's health. We can't look at someone, because I know when they told me $11,000, or they were not going to give me the surgery, you know, and I know how that made me feel. Mm-hmm. So I never want to do this to someone. Yes, I have to make a living. Yes, I have bills to pay. My bills are being met. So if we don't chase after money, and we take care of everyone that we can that crosses our path, our needs will be met as well. At least that's the way it's for me.
Well, what are the people that come to you? So what age are they, or what kind of diseases do they have? What is a typical client for you?
A typical client can be either a mother who's bringing her child to me. I had a single mom. Her daughter had a very serious case of SIBO. That's small intestine bacterial overgrowth. And so she was going into seizures. She had a blood sugar issue. She had to drop out of school. Her life was really terrible. And no matter what she ate, it aggravated her body. So we have mothers who bring their children. We have, right now I'm working with a stage 4 cancer patient that's eating out her colon, and it is now eating into her liver. So the doctors were like, sorry, too bad for you, nothing we can do, it's too far. She's getting better. So I have everything from, and also I have people that come with mental illness, schizophrenia, anxiety, depression, bipolar, all these things. The doctors just throw these psychotropic drugs at, and the patient gets worse. Or he might get better for a little bit, but then he gets worse, and then they're switching their drugs, or they're raising the doses. I mean, the person never gets their life back. And I think that's a terrible thing. I like to deal with a lot of the homeless people, because a lot of them are homeless because they're schizophrenic. Okay? Nobody wakes up in the morning and say, today I think I want to be schizophrenic and aggravate everybody, all my family members, until they get so sick of me and they throw me out and I can't hold a job. And I just get pushed off as, you know, we point to those people as those people. Okay? That's terrible. We can reverse it. Okay? And so let's do that and give them back their lives. You know, let's look at people as actual human beings in need, you know, and meet those needs and give them back their lives. Let's not say those people, or oh, they got schizophrenia, there's nothing we can, you know, they're just crazy. They're not crazy. They have their brain chemistry went awry. Well, why? Let's find out why. And if we know why, we can deal with those root causes and start to reverse it and give their lives back to them. So, yeah, okay. So you can see I'm very passionate about it.
Yeah, that's sorry. No, oh, this is so good. And do you feel that you always have this strength to help other people while you yourself still in your process? So for me, it sounds like, okay, this is really, you know, all the people coming to you with severe problems, and doesn't it take a lot of energy out of you? Or how can you handle this? Being in your own process a little bit still, and having all these people with you.
Yeah, I have to say, before I became sick, I was a very hardened person. Like, if I didn't feel good, I was like, fuck up, get over it. I remember, this is going to sound terrible, but my sister, one of my sisters, her husband had damaged his back. And he had left his, he was working on his car in my garage because he did not have a garage. And He left the engine there. He let oil go all over the garage floor, and it sat there for months. So I said to him, get over here and clean this mess up. You know, you are taking advantage. And he said, I can't come. My back hurts. And I know this is going to make me look really bad, but I was like, your back hurts? You lazy bum. I don't care. Buck up. It's just a backache. You know, I didn't have the compassion because I was very hard on my own self. I had, you know, aches and pains and things before it got very serious, you know, and I would push through it. And so I didn't have that empathy. I didn't have that passion because I didn't even give it to myself. Going through what I went through and some of the things I'm still, you know, working through, that really burned a compassion and understanding and close upfront personal understanding because I'm there. I went through it myself and there's some things I'm still going through. You know, my healing journey is not over. And I think that when someone comes to me, I can't stand the thought, okay, I guess this is really in a nutshell. I cannot stand the thought, it haunts me when I hear someone tell me this, you know, of someone they know that needs my help. They're suffering. They've been to 15 different doctors. They're on 19 different drugs, you know, pharmaceuticals, and they're getting worse. Knowing that I know how to fix that, how can I say no? And I feel so, I'm haunted by the fact that people are dying prematurely. Mothers, children these days are dying before the parents because of the food, you know? If we can do something to educate people, I have to do it. If you have an answer, if you have knowledge, you have an obligation to share. And because of what's happened to me, I have that passion to do it. At one time before, I was not like that. I was an artist. It's all I wanted to know. You know, and that was me, that was my life. But when you get knocked down, sometimes it births something in you, and it's undeniable. You cannot deny it. In fact, if I don't do it, I will dry up and die. And that is what I once said about me when I was just an artist. People would say, why do you paint? And, you know, I would say, well, if you want me to play well with others, you better let me express myself through my art. But really the truth was, if I could not paint and express what was in here, I would dry up and die. And now that is true for natural medicine. And my art, yeah, of course, I'm never going to give up my art. I'm an artist. But it's not first in my life anymore. Which only a miracle could take place to make me say such a thing, because that was me. That was my identity.
Okay. So let's go a little bit deeper and perhaps get vulnerable. Is there anything that you never said to an audience or to someone else, but that could really help my audience?
Yeah, actually I wrote it down. I had an experience with someone some years ago. So one of the things about me, as I just mentioned, I'm always very hard on myself. I still am. I don't accept excuses. Sometimes I fail, but I don't say, well, it's because of this or that, you know. No, you just didn't want to. Just get real with yourself, Cseeszka. You just didn't want to do it. I mean, sometimes life throws something, you know, things come into our lives that are not within our control, you know. But barring that, most of what goes wrong in my life when I don't accomplish something is because of me. I am my own worst enemy. I get in my own way, you know, because I don't think, I have this inner critic, and I'm always fighting against perfectionism, because as an artist, that's how I was. people would look at my paintings or my artwork, whatever form of art I was doing, they'd be like, oh, that's amazing. Me, I saw every little thing that I didn't do to my level of satisfaction. Thankfully, the audience didn't see it, but I saw it, and it bothered me. So I have this inner critic, you know, this thing that comes out, you know, when I want to embark on, I'm doing really big things, you know, to deal with the homeless situation. I have a whole solution, and as soon as the travel ban is over, I'll be contacting the legislators and showing them my solution. I'm about to, you know, I bought property and I'm about to build an all-natural medicine retreat center. I'm dealing with patients who have been sent home to die. I'm dealing with my own, you know, journey. I'm still in school trying to keep up with all the deadlines and the research papers that I have to write. You know, all these. Right now I have the schedule from hell. It won't always be that way, but right now that's how it is. And I'm always having to fight with myself. And whenever I want to embark on some new thing that I'm doing, all of a sudden, all my inner demons come out to play in my head, you know? And it's like you have to slay one dragon after another. And it doesn't matter what big thing you just accomplished. When you want to try something new, the first, you know, those demons come out to play. Who do you think you are? You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You don't know how to do that. It's true. That's what makes it so convincing, because sometimes it's true. I don't know how to do it. I've never done that before. And, you know, you have to come to a point where you have to be comfortable with the fact that it's okay to not have all the answers. It's okay to make mistakes and learn as you go. And when it comes to the naysayers, you know, the naysayers without and the naysayers within, you have to learn how to deal with them. I had a horrible experience. When I was going through the worst of my health issues, you know, I was still bedridden, but I was forcing myself to visualize my life as I was going to heal, you know. And there's a couple of copywriting forums that I hang out in because I'm a copywriter as well. And all I asked was, I gave 2 titles for something that I was writing. And so I was asking the other copywriters, which title do you prefer? A simple question, right? Well, this man came on, and I tell you, I've never seen him in the forum. I've never heard of him. He just suddenly appeared. And he went and did the most thing that he could do to make me look the most foolish in this forum. And he said to me in front of everybody, he said, you know what? I'm going to tell you something. And I'm thinking he's going to give me some sage advice. So I'm like, yeah, what? I'm ready to eat it up. He said, and these were his exact words, I do not exaggerate. He said, you are a clueless moron doomed to failure. Yeah, I could not believe it. And what made it worse is that, so I did not respond to him. And I went over to another copywriting forum where I also was known. And I posed the same question. I was like, forget about that guy. I don't know how it's even possible what he did, but he immediately followed me over to this other copywriting forum. I mean, it was the most bizarre experience. And because I'm not tech savvy, I don't even know how that is possible, or how even he knew that I was in this forum and knew when to follow me. You know, it was really strange. But anyhow, he went in there and he said the same thing. And some of the people in that forum were agreeing with him. So now I have all these professionals telling me that I'm a clueless moron doomed to failure. You know, that burst such a, I said to myself, because at first I was like, you know, when you get that kind of nasty comment and others are joining in, you feel very stupid. You feel humiliated. You feel very small, you know. You want to hide and never go back into those forums because you're too stupid, you know, according to everybody. Then I thought to myself, you know, the only thing I have to do to shut them all down, I only have to do one thing. All I have to do is succeed. You understand? When you succeed, all the naysayers have to go away. Then they are made to shut up. And this man will never know how much his comments has helped me. Because since that day, I have created several companies, and I'm working around the world, and I'm loved by a great many people. But if I had remained in that mindset of fear and humility, all these things that I'm doing around the world would never have happened. And so again, it goes back to, you know, we're all fragile. You know, we all have vulnerabilities. We just can't allow others, or even ourselves, our own inner critics, to rule us. You know, we have to step out of that and rise above it. Because, yeah, like I said, I'm doing many things I've never done before. I don't have all the answers. I know I'm going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah, but you're not staying in fear, but you make progress. So I've read a nice acronym you use for fear. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that acronym is, how did it go? It was failure.
Is
First,
false evidence appearing real.
Yes, thank you. And that's what it is. Because think about it. This man said that I was a clueless moron doomed to failure. What was he basing that on? You know, when I looked back on it a couple of years after it had happened, I thought to myself, what was he basing this on? I only asked a question, which title do you like better? So what grounds did he have to say this about me? He never had a conversation with me. He did not know me. So yeah, false evidence appearing as real, as reality. So when we know that something's not real, when it's false, why do we have to obey the feelings that come with it? And this is where, again, we have to talk about ruling in our own minds, being self-aware, you know, saying, okay, how am I feeling in this moment? Okay, in that particular moment, I felt very small and humiliated. What is my intention here? How do I want to respond? Do I want to react, or do I want to respond? These are two different ways of living your life. Either you're going to react or you're going to respond. Reacting means you react with your emotions and you explode or fall apart over everything that is said or done to you. You know, we all know those people in our lives that have very short fuses, you know, and everything is wrong, you know, according to them. Or you have those who assess the situation, think about their intentions. How am I feeling? What am I going to do about my feelings? How am I going to respond? And then take that action. You know, we have a choice about how we choose to think. We have the initial thing that happens to us, but if we'll take the time to not first respond to that initial thing, like, you're a clueless moron, you're doomed to failure, you're an idiot, you know, my initial reaction was, oh my God, you know, this is coming from a professional. It must be right. It must be true. I must be an idiot because he said so, you know. Oh, I only have 3 months left to live because that's a specialist, a regular doctor and a surgeon just said so.
Yeah.
Just because they say it doesn't make it so.
Yeah, it is really interesting. Of course, we are social beings. So of course we listen to others, and other people can influence us.
Yeah.
And if they have a kind of status we trust and we believe that they know what they're telling, of course they influence us a lot, and this can go, as you told in this example, in a weird direction.
Yeah, and you know, I do the same thing with my patients when they come to me and they say, oh, the doctor says this and this, you know, I have this disease or, you know, whatever. And I say, yeah, that's true, you do. I said, but you know what? It's fixable. You're not broken. we'll fix it, we can fix this. And you start to build their hope and get them to visualize their future, because the spirit and the body will follow. I've never seen that fail, you know. Yeah, you're not going to save everybody. If someone comes to you and they're at, like, you know, at the, you know, they only have like a few weeks left to live because now they have no energy. It takes energy to get better, to heal. But if their reserve energy is completely gone and they're not able to absorb any energy each and every day to heal, some people are going to die. But let's not start out with that mentality. You know, I don't care if you have 3 days left to live, okay? We're going to fight. And I'm going to stand beside that patient, and I'm going to stand and I'm going to fight with them. It's not over until it's over. And why give up? You know?
Yeah. So I always feel like you're so strong, and you feel, you know, being a fighter and really seeing the positive things. What have been your biggest influencer that created this kind of, yeah, personality in you?
So, you know that I'm Roma. We are the European gypsies. Naturally, we're not the most favored people. You know, we're not very well liked. Seeing the persecution that we have gone through, I personally have scars from head to toe from the persecution. But I watched the elders, and I watched my grandparents, who were the leader of the tribe, of our tribe. I saw what, you know, how they handled things. And ever since I was like a toddler, you know, we would go through many things. Our camps were being raided. We were being physically attacked. Many of us were murdered. And there's no recourse. And so you have to find that recourse within your own self. And there would be times where I would just sit down in the ground and I would cry, throw fits, you know. And my grandmother would come and sit beside me. And there was a certain tone in her voice which I cannot imitate. But the words were, "What's the matter, Cseeszka? Can't you handle it? Too much for you?" And it was the way she said it that this pride would rise up in me. You know, I'd be like, I can do it. I can do this. I'm tough, you know, because my grandmother taught us that once you are done crying, no matter what's been done to you, once you are done crying, you still have to learn how to live. And that is something that we're very uniquely good at. Yeah, you know, and we have ways of dealing with those emotions. You know, that's what the campsite, the campfire, and our music is about. You know, that's where we release what happened to us for that day. In the evening around the campfire, we release it. We learn not to hold this in because it will kill us. Because stress, we know, is the silent killer. And people don't realize, you know, they hear it too many times, and so it becomes like nothing. You know, they don't see the importance of it or the emergency of it. But stress has a direct effect upon the microbes in your microbiome. And if you're killing off the good ones because of stress, and the bad ones are now taking over, this is going to affect your mind, okay, and your spirit. And, you know, so we understand this is no good. But I will say also, when I was about, I don't know, in my teen years, someone had told me the story of George Washington Carver. Now, I don't know if everyone knows who this man is. He lived back in America during the slave days, when America had slaves. This man, this black man, was taken from his parents as an infant, traded as an infant for a horse, had a horrible, terrible life. Eventually, he got to live with with a white family that let him go to school and educate himself. But he went through so many hardships, too many to list. Yet look what he became. He had 300 different uses for the peanuts. He knew how to help sick people. He created a school and started to educate. If anyone had a right to sit back and cry about his life, it was George Washington Carver. And I always remember his story, and it just did something inside of me, hearing his story. I never got to read his, well, I read his actual story when I got much older, but someone first related the story of his life to me when I was in my 20s. And it just really inspired me, and I never forgot it. And I think that story still lives in me and still inspires me to this day. And the other thing is, like I said, you know, people who are listening to me right now, your audience, there's probably people in there who have suffered traumas that they've never even been able to speak about. And what I want to say to them is, when you are done crying, you are still going to have to learn how to live, which means you're going to have to start opening up the healing pathways in your body and get that out of you, because that trauma is held in, you know, in your muscles and in your brain and in your gut, and it is affecting you. You may think that you have shoved it down, you're not thinking about it anymore. Most days you don't even remember it, but that memory is there it's being held in your body. And you may not realize it now, but you're being held as a prisoner by it. And you won't realize it until you release it, and then you see the freedom and how your life changes once you've let it go.
Do you have any other tips that are beneficial for the audience?
Yeah, I wrote it down because I didn't want to. This is something that I live by. Okay, tip number 1. Know your own personal body chemistry and live accordingly, okay? Find someone who knows how to look into your personal body chemistry and eat and live according to it, okay? This is going to rebuild your reserve energy. It's going to strengthen your spirit. It's going to strengthen your mind. It's going to give you that strength you need to push forward to reach your goals. Be self-aware. This is so important so that you learn how to respond rather than react, especially for people who work in an office, you know, office politics and petty people, and your boss is not the best, you know, and is always finding fault with you. Practice self-awareness. This is something that I teach, okay, so that you can assess and take proper action. The other thing I would say, honor circadian rhythm. If you don't get proper sleep, your cells can't regenerate, they can't heal. Okay, when you go into that deep sleep, the brain, the fluid from the spine goes up into the brain and washes out those toxins. When you don't observe circadian rhythm, you know, sleeping proper, this is why you wake up tired, brain fog, cranky, don't want to get out of the bed, not ready to face the day. So circadian rhythm is most important. Practice Shinrin Yoku. This is a course that I am going to be creating in the very near future so people can actually see how this is done. Shinrin Yoku, fancy Japanese word for forest bathing. They think they invented it in the 1980s. Okay, my people have been doing it for centuries. This is a whole practice of allowing the forest to sing its symphony over you and to heal you. And this involves many different things that I teach. I don't have the time to teach that now, but go into the forest. Just spend time in the forest and breathe. That's step 1. Okay, it's going to lower cholesterol, anxiety, depression, your heart rate, everything. And believe in the impossible, because life is short. Live it well. You only get one life, one story to tell. Tell a good story. determine that in your mind to tell a good story with your life.
Wow, wow. This is so powerful. Yeah.
I don't just say these things to sound, I had to do it. I had to physically do it when fighting through the brain fog, determining to do it. I know it works because I had to go through it myself.
Yeah. If people are now would like to reach out to you, how is it possible? Do you have a website or
Yes.
Facebook, or where can they come in contact with you?
Okay, if you want to contact me on Facebook, we have the private forum, but that's just for our students. So if you just want to contact me, just go to my regular Facebook page, Cseeszka Borjigin. I promise you there's no one else with that name. You will find me. The other thing, you could go my website, which is under construction, but the website is called rbtiliving.com. rbtiliving.com. What does it stand for? R stands for Reams Biological Theory of Ionization. This has to do everything with the particular lab work that we teach you how to look into your own personal body chemistry. We don't use blood. There's no needles involved. It's very non-invasive. So, you know, don't worry. And you get the results within 10 to 15 moments. So there's none of this waiting for the doctor to call you back, you know, a week, 2 weeks later. Do they even remember to call me? You get your results right away. And so ionization, this is talking about how the body builds new cells and what it needs to do this and what your personal body chemistry is lacking so that we can give it what it needs so it can rebuild those cells, rebuild your reserve energy, fix the microbiome, which is going to fix the mind. It's very extensive. It leaves no stone unturned.
Okay, so I will post your contact details under this podcast, so everybody who is interested can directly click on that link and find you.
Yeah, you can private message me on Facebook. You can have the phone number that patients call me. Should I give this phone number?
You can send it via Messenger, and I will also post it under this podcast if you like to.
Yeah, because they're going to have a lot of questions, because no one else does what we do. This lab work is very unique to us only. We are training people in it. The more people we can train in it, the better, because now they'll be able to go out and help their families, their friends, and others, you know, people within their own circle of influence, and they can even go beyond. Those who take my full year program and can pass my exams, yes, I'm very tough. I'm just going to let you know beforehand, my exams are hard. Because we're dealing with people's life. If we go in for heart surgery, we don't want the surgeon who graduated with a 70%. You know, we want 98% to 100. You know, we want someone who really knows what they're talking about. So my exams are difficult, but I'm a really good teacher, and I will spend time with you until I know you understand it, and then you can become part of my staff, because I have creating these natural medicine retreat centers all around the world. So the more I can train, the better.
Yeah, where are you now located at the moment?
Right now, I am traveling between, I have a home base here in the Colorado Rocky Mountains in Golden, Colorado. I have land 4 hours south of me in a place called Fort Garland, and that's where my stateside natural retreat center is being built. I have land on a private island in Chile, and another retreat center will be built there for people to come, you know, that live in South America. I'm working in West Bengal up against the Bhutan border. So we're working there with the underprivileged children, and also I'll be creating a retreat center there. I have invitations to go to Zambia and to Portugal as well. So I'm kind of bouncing around.
Okay, so just in case you come to Portugal, you're really close to where I am. I'm in Madeira, so it is only 1 hour to fly, and you will be here on this beautiful island. So
yeah, well, you know, yeah, absolutely. Invite me. I want to come.
yeah,
Also, people should be aware. I not only teach natural medicine, but I teach natural building. So this is teaching you how to build a home that is completely non-toxic. It's an ancient building form. The ingredients, clay, sand, and straw. And these homes are completely non-toxic, flood-proof, mold-proof, earthquake-proof, because we build on a rubble trench, so it moves with the earth. And it lasts for thousands of years, and they're earth-friendly, and they're beautiful.
yeah,
And I also teach permaculture, because this, to make you food secure. So we teach how to create nutrient-dense soil. Even if you live in the desert, I'll teach you how to make soil from scratch. If you already have soil, but you want to make it better, we can teach you this. What we do, we transition farmers and gardeners from a chemical-based agriculture over to one that's based in biology. So this is very healthy and clean. It'll create nutrient-dense soil, food, and you a healthier person as you eat it. So the Nomadic Medic is built on 3 pillars: earth care, people care, and future care. If we take care of these 3 things, everyone will be able to thrive in harmony without impeding on the future generations to do the same.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So you're very invited to come here to my place. We are creating a holistic retreat center here too in Madeira. So I will be very happy to speak to you and see you here and share our information and knowledge.
Absolutely. I will, as soon as this travel ban thing is over, I plan on being a lot of places. So yeah, and I've never been to this island that you live on. I would love to see it.
Yeah.
Come and see you and take part in, help you in whatever way I can, whatever you say that I can do to make what you're doing better. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. So, and I'm so happy that we spend now more than 1 hour speaking to each other, and you told my audience so much about your own process and how you can help other people, and yeah, all this wonderful work you're doing. Thank you very much for being my guest.
Thank you for having me. It was so much fun, and I'm looking forward to come. I've been to Portugal, absolutely love it, but not to where on the island where you are. So I'm looking forward to coming.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
come
Thank
to me.
you. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.